Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. As usual, when we get into these heavy topics and subjects, I gotta invite my partner Christnu on the show, man. We're gonna delve into a little metaphysics. Welcome to the show, brother Christnu. How you feeling?
Feeling good. What's going on, brother Black?
Oh man, it's good as usual, bruh. Yesterday I had brother Steve, aka Brother Black as well, and Tim on the show, and we was dealing with a topic, and I want to bring you in on it because I want your take on it, right?
All right.
We going back to the Garden of Eden, right?
Okay.
Now, when the serpent told Eve, convinced her to eat the apple, and said that she would become one of the gods. If you eat this apple, you wouldn't have the knowledge of good and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before that, the Creator, according to the Bible's story, told them you can eat of anything in the garden except for the tree of knowledge. So she ate, Adam ate, and then the Creator stated, surely man has become one of us. You familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is the one of us from a metaphysical standpoint?
All right. So this particular, deity in this story is just the template aspect of self when it comes to these deities. Is that we are born at certain times, and you get into the Chinese zodiac. You have your the month you're born in, your astrological zodiac. You things that you have natural affinity for, your favorite color. You might have a favorite number. Things of that nature. This would be your template energy. These are things that are inherently built in you. These particular things you have an affinity for and that you gravitate towards naturally. Things that you're passionate about. Then you have, the other aspect, which is in the Congo science of Palo Mayombe, they have two pillars. They have the deity aspect, and then they have the ancestral pillar, which is your DNA, that's your relatives, your family members that have transitioned. These are the two aspects that move us in everything that we do day to day. This goes into the principle of vibration and how we move. And spirit is the science of movement. So, so when it comes to this particular deity saying one of us, they actually, when they partook of that fruit, they realized that they were deities and that they have fell into matter, into a human state. And that covering up and that shame that they're talking about they're just talking about, coming to, realize, just like when I came into knowledge of self, this is a story about, coming into knowledge of self. I was, in a sense, ashamed of, just not being aware of all the bullshit that was going on around me. And that's the same thing with Adam and Eve, so they, that was just their realization. And whenever that particular serpent gave them the fruit and said that ye shall be as gods, it's because that's them realizing that they were the gods, they were the deities, they had that template energy. They were already aware that, of the basics, the basic human aspects and this is also speaking on us. We come in and we're taught about, the finite aspect of us, which is, just living life as a human and, transitioning, we get those basic ideals. But, if some people, they're never made in-depth aware of, what these particular, what do these deities mean, and, so they get it in like the 99 names of Allah, and they get it in the angels, and, all of those are just deities. It's just another way of expressing, all of these various different dynamics within that, explaining the soul, and the soul is that all encompassing, aspect, that perfection before creation, so.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does a lot, man. It put a lot of perspective on it. So it's similar to, okay, so that was their enlightenment, but as individuals, you're saying that all of us are deities.
Right.
And we all have...
Yes. There is, just to add this piece to it, is that we are all living souls of deities. There are also these quarter. You have these, these beings that, whether you want to call them, Demiurge, the Gnostics call them Demiurge. You have these particular soulless beings down here that's imitating the living souls, that's imitating the deities, and they're a false version of it. They are a copy version. They are a mock version of, the original, the original living souls, and they, what the Gnostics call the Demiurge. They, one of the aspects of them is that they pull so much energy, they pull more energy than they actually give back. They don't deal in quid pro quo principle. They deal in, I'm going to try to suck in as much energy as I possibly can and give back, bare minimum crumbs,
right.
And that's how they function. That's how they function. So yeah.
Okay, so that means then just because Adam and Eve became aware, that didn't mean it was passed down through the lineage. Meaning, does each individual has to have an awakening to elevate themselves into that knowledge to where they could become one of us, or like the gods, or the God? It's not automatic. Is there's some knowledge, some spiritual awakening, something that jars that inner being, the power of the person to rise to that level?
Right. It's going to come through incarnation. What happens is that some of us, we've been through so many incarnations, so many cycles of incarnation down here, that we'll be born to parents that have knowledge of self. So it'll be programmed into us even while we're in the womb.
Right.
And then you have those who, like myself, it took, a certain amount of time for me to come into that, that awakening that you're speaking of, coming into knowledge of self. And, that's because I've been down here so many incarnations.
Right.
That it was just, it was already set up. I already set that up for myself to run into that particular knowledge. So it's just based on incarnations, how you can gauge the well, if you wanted to how young a person is mentally, based on how deep they're pulling from their subconscious when it comes to knowledge. Just because ultimately we're gonna transition to the subconscious, right, when this body breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
So So,
Right. I get what you're saying. You're saying that while we in this physical form, though, there are certain things that we can do, but we haven't elevated to that point yet, or we're not using all our gifts and skills, especially being in a system like we're in, where you got Hollywood setting agendas and you have certain things that's not allowing you to get into the fullness of you. So many distractions are purposely done, I believe, to distract you from tapping into that inner core, that the true temple of the God. Like Jesus said, there's greater things you can do that I've done if only you believe that you can do them. Mm-hmm. So will that now? Can that change the scope of things? I mean, what if you had, let's say, 10,000 people operating on that higher level, shooting that energy into the universe? Will it change the direction of things that's going, or are we just on this planet, as some people say, that this is Satan's world, and we're just a victim of circumstance? Or can we control our direction and destiny? And the reason why I say that is because you got so many different third world countries, so many, the thing that's going on in Venezuela right now, and you know what I mean, folks fighting and whatnot. It has seemed like the people are tapping to that inner source and create a society where it's peace. Like we should, as a higher knowledge, or meaning as a higher knowledge, do we have the knowledge to overcome the knowledge of the ones that's creating the distractions, or is the distraction just part of the game too?
Yeah, it is part of the game.
So do we need?
And it always comes back to the core. Always comes back to the core, and that's where we have our most impact. So when it comes to changing the reality around it, just like I was telling my son the other day, he's 7, Zion, and I was telling him that the thing is that we're in matter, and matter is the slowest thing moving in the cosmos. Mm-hmm. So, people, whenever it comes to this science and it comes to understanding that the future and the past is malleable and the only thing that's real is the now, I think some say that we're in a state of perpetual now, but that's what's real. And in terms of impact on our reality is that as we're leveling up, we're getting this knowledge and we, coming knowledge, wisdom, understanding, we're applying the knowledge, and as we make these breakthroughs and have these aha moments and we do these creative things and we have these type of conversations, this is how we have the most impact on the reality around us, and everything that people absorb in social media and on YouTube and on television and in movies. If a person wants to have the most impact on changing those things, it always starts from the center, from the nucleus, from the core, from the root, from your home, sitting in your house, in your temple, and it extends from your soul, the center of self, and then to your, if you have a lady or a wife and your kid, and all these people that you have the majority of energy exchange with, that you're co-creating with, this is where most of your impact is going to happen. When the X-Men was running around, and they were doing their thing, everybody that was in the house with Xavier, that was the core collective that had the greatest impact on the planet. And the same thing with us. Right. So we want to, now the only thing is that people, they just got to keep in mind that we're in matter. So it ain't going to necessarily happen at the snap of a finger. That's not how matter works. Matter is the densest, slowest moving thing in the cosmos. It's the slowest vibration in the cosmos. It's much slower than when you go into, when your body body, when you go into sleep mode and you're in stasis, and you're in your subconscious mind, and everything moves so much faster. That's why dreams feel the way that they feel. It feels like you could be in one space and then another space. It feels like you here and you there, and you one scene and another scene, because you're in the subconscious. Things move so much faster. It's lightning fast. In the conscious realm, which is what we're in right now, the way that we feel our five senses is because the vibration is so slow here, you know, in third dimension, in the physical realm. So, you know, things are not going to necessarily happen at the snap of a finger. You got to have patience,
right,
in the conscious realm.
Right. Got to give it time to develop.
Right.
You can put that thought out into the universe, then it takes time for that matter to form or form a shape.
Right. To crystallize, definitely.
Come on, yeah, that was beautiful. To the fact, because you know I see the awakening and people's eyes are opening, and now you have to channel that power and that energy that's been stated and that was letting us know that we had those capabilities 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 years ago. As far as when you go back and study some of these scholars or, you know, these scientists or whatever, they were basically all saying the same thing, you know, that, you know, the power is within, you know, like you stated earlier, you are the best change that could be made. The individual. So you're right. Change starts with that individual, then it affects those around you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, interesting, bro. Yeah, we was on that subject last night. For a minute, trying to figure out how do the energy, or how do people pick up on the energy and broaden or better their situation and circumstances, or better yet, you right. Now let me ask you this: can people? So that means you can create your own good, you can create your own heaven, or you can create your own hell.
Right.
You know, by your thoughts or you know what you're thinking. If you're thinking, yeah.
People living in purgatory down here, G.
Yeah, but the thing is no need to.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You got all these gifts and skills and energies that's been placed in you and passed down from generations to generation. What's the purpose of the purgatory?
Man, you know, I've personally encountered people who, out of fear and a lack of knowledge, and having a lack of knowledge is where the fear comes into play. Because if they knew better, they'd do better.
Right. Now,
but, you know,
now, the story of what happened during slavery time, where we all had a native tongue that we spoke, but we probably wasn't speaking English, so you couldn't read the English books, and they kept it away from you, and they didn't want you to learn how to write within your English, within that English language. So you were secluded, and it took time. And it took them time to work whatever system or plan that they had to be perfected over time, to where they could dumb us down to a system where they could rule over us. But that was just for a time, because you had the Garveys and the Noble Drew Ali's and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's and people who was giving that knowledge that was breaking that stronghold that the taskmaster, the colonizer, was putting upon us in order to use us as a tool. The propaganda, you know, turning the youth against the elderly, and turning the male against the female, and that system and it's been proven it was effective. System. I don't know what science they was working out for, but it was effective, but it couldn't. It only could be effective for a time. It only could hold us for a time. So now in today's time, we're waking up and we're seeing things and we're questioning things, and it seems like now you have two opposing forces. One want to keep the lid on the top, but someone wants to burst through and push the lid off. So now it's locked in a struggle. Meaning, as we evolve, I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, but as we evolve in time, what we see today will look a whole lot different in the future. According to the new mindset that's coming in. According to people, like a cult means hidden, but they purposely kept the term and the occult knowledge away from us to where, like, that created some fear to even go around and look into the knowledge.
Facts. Even the word, Negroes are even scared to say it. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's that bad, man. And it's like, hey, man. Like I tell, my loved one, that's half of the whole game right there.
Right.
Because you can be, the most left brain, and you could learn all your survivalists, and you can learn everything about Earth and be the best Earthling. But you also, the other half of the study is the subconscious mind. There ain't no, and they both are connected, because you just for the simple fact that you are awoke right now listening to this, and then you go to sleep. That's you going from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. So the occult being the hidden, that's another way of saying this is how you learn how to program your subconscious mind through the occult, and they use symbols because your subconscious it speaks in the language of symbolism. It doesn't speak in the language of our logical conversations and our waking logic. It doesn't speak that language. It speaks more holistically. Right. So it speaks in terms of symbols. So that's why whenever people go into the theaters and they go into that flickering light, which puts their mind in alpha state, in this programmable state, and it sends in movie speaking in symbols. Right. And off of basic mythology, which is this, how symbols interplay with each other. And so that speaks directly to the subconscious. It's in the alpha state, and it's in a programmable state. And so they're able to program that way. They're able to have real heavy program that way. So yeah, that's half of the whole study. That's half of the whole game right there. And if people, I'm not saying it's a right or wrong way to do things, but I would say that there's really no way around that. You're either going to be a victim of having lack of knowledge of programming your own subconscious mind, right, or somebody else is going to take advantage of you that knows how to program you, and you're going to be doing their bidding, and you're not going to even know why you're doing what you're doing. Mind Control 101.
Come on, bro. Now, for those who don't know what actually the subconscious mind is, because we hear that term, and I know a lot of people heard that term, and they're like, what's subconscious and what's conscious? And these are for those on the beginning stages. Can you give them a overall of what the subconscious mind is?
I like what, I think it was Brother Panic said, that it is the thinking apparatus of the soul. The subconscious is where all knowledge is contained. It is like a treasure chest.
And that's similar to the Akashic records?
It is.
Okay.
It also corresponds to melanin. The subconscious, it shows up in the occult as the color black. Mm-hmm. So anytime you see the color black, it always, corresponds with the subconscious mind. Along with a lot of other things, but that's one of the key things that it corresponds with. Right. So, that's the treasure chest. So whenever these things that we're aware of, that we're speaking on in our waking consciousness, is things that were already contained within the subconscious, and once it came out of that darkness and it was brought into the light, now we can speak on it in our waking conscious conversations.
Yeah, powerful, bro. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm glad we had this subject because, I don't want to leave anybody behind in a sense, meaning that this thing is moving, but it's like a course. You got to know certain terminologies and what's used in that field in order to keep up with the course or keep up the pace. And so, yeah, that was explained well. For those of you all who's listening who didn't know, now you know, and hit them books, read, study, and actually tap into your own self, your own inner self and knowledge. Now, before we get out of here, let me ask you this: as far as we hear the term your ancestors, and I mean, our ancestors can go back, millions of years, and each one of those ancestors prior to us that was on this planet was an entity that actually exists, that had motion. They were in time. Is it possible to go back and commune, or or ideas you get, or you have these aha moments? Is that communication with the ancestors, or meaning do sometimes people get confused with the ancestors and the Creator? Because sometimes you hear people say, "God put this on my heart," but it could have been your ancestor right on that line.
Right. Hey, that's a good question. Yeah, man, it's like cause and effect. So when we were speaking on that aha moment, something was put on a heart, on a person's heart. Yeah, it could have came from either or,
right.
A combination of both. Because there are, when shout out to Slip Double. You know what I mean? He's a war spirit. So he got that Zarbanda energy.
Yeah.
The artist Zero. Ironically enough, his name is Zero. No coincidence. No such thing as coincidence. He's a Zarbanda war energy. So in Ifa that'll be Ogun. Black and green color frequency.
Right.
So there's a principle of correspondence in the Kabbalion that everything is connected only in the appearance of separation. So as you learn all of these different things in the occult and metaphysics, and you learn symbolism, then you're able to start further identifying and highlighting aspects in the people that you deal with around you. And you'll see that consistent energy in them, and you'll, by studying, let's just even say by studying the deities, it gives another angle of light when it comes to how y'all can both maximize the potential of y'all relationship based on y'all understanding of each other as y'all co-create with each other. So with this, whether it's your ancestors or your family that transition, that's whispering in your ear, so to speak, is another. And whenever they say that aha moment, these things come in subtle, is because matter is so slow that when it comes to this information from this energy that we call our ancestors, and that we call, these particular deities, is that it's moving at such a fast rate that being able to come down here into matter where everything, the vibration is so slow, it could be difficult based on how fast our minds are moving, meaning that based on our conversation, the frequency, the level, the speed of the frequency of the conversation that we're having. And it doesn't have to be something that's so-called deep. Y'all, it could be LeBron James having a conversation with Dwayne Wade about, ultimate techniques in basketball. And because that's their passion, and passion is such a key factor in this game that we're in, this life game and this spirit game that we're in, that could be extremely fast vibration because they're in that zone. They're given scientific information. They might be talking about, certain angles and footwork and techniques, and I could correspond that directly to metaphysics. All of these things, they interplay with each other and they correspond with each other. So, whenever you're in that zone, it could be coming from, like I said, from the ancestor, from your DNA. Your body speaks to you. Whenever you talk about family genes, it's connected to your family that transitioned the ancestral realm because y'all carry that same bloodline. Y'all carry that DNA. So, I don't know if that answered your question.
It did. I'm getting it. Yeah, if you in the same zone, on the same frequency, y'all bouncing energy off each other, and it's moving at a faster rate.
Right.
Right. We moving. Things is rolling, and then you get more done. You building, now you creating. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in rhythm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's and the reason why I'm enjoying this subject is because that's putting back whole the man that was beat down or that was held in bondage, and now he's free, and you can gather physical strength, but you need that mental and that spiritual as well in order to master yourself, because self-mastery is the goal.
Right.
You can see things. You can see things taking place before it actually materializes, meaning that you could have made an attempt early on in life, and as things come back around 360, now you looking at it, and the goal is to add to it, perfect it, but not make the same mistake twice. You moving forward now. You know what I mean? You've been here before. You've seen this thing. You gathered knowledge. Now the key is to perfect that knowledge, and as you stated earlier, without the fear, or not be afraid. Because when things come back around, if you are afraid to go to the next stage, then you'll revisit the same outcome that you faced the first time you was presented with it.
Right.
You wouldn't be like they say now, leveling up.
Right.
Gotta level it up. So fear chokes. It chokes. But what is there to fear when you have mathematics, or you got science, or you have knowledge, or you have knowledge of a thing? You know what I mean? What's the purpose? How can fear? And I understand they say, they try to intertwine fear of the unknown, but then the coat is hidden. So they're afraid of what's hidden. But you can't expect your enemy or taskmaster to reveal something to you that's beneficial for you if he wants to remain to rule over you.
Right.
The math wouldn't add up. Right. So you would have to, you're right. Man, all those are avenues that you have to tap into when we say your ancestor. That's an avenue to feed from. Like you was giving the example of Xavier and the X-Men. They had something to feed off of to grab their energy so they can elevate. But you never left alone. It's something that you can gravitate to feed energy off of to rise up.
Right.
You always have something out there. Yeah, so yeah, that's wonderful, bruh. This we would call this Metaphysics 101 simply because of the fact that we put knowledge on a level to where anybody can understand it.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a true gift. You know.
And I want to add something, to what you just said right there on simplifying it. On this ancestor and deity thing, so here's one way that they both speak in us. With whether you call it the ancestral pillar or the ancestral realm, and how our family talks to us once they done passed on, is that if I bring up my granny right now, I bring up Lula Mae Brown, that's because she's speaking. It's not complicated. This is how our family speaks to us, because the mind is all, the universe is mental. Principle of mentalism. That's the first principle in the Kabbalion. What they call the quote unquote, the so-called seven hermetic principles, which is really the seven principles of Tahuti from Kemet.
Right.
The mind, we're within inside, like I mentioned earlier, the thinking apparatus of the soul, what we call the mind. And that's where all of these things exist. That's where everything exists. So our family that transitioned, the reason why people say they didn't die, they just, transition to a higher frequency, is that they transition to what we call the subconscious, which we're still connected to, because whenever we go into sleep mode and we go to sleep, we go straight into the subconscious. We go straight into the mind, the mental plane. So this is where our family that transitions, this is where they exist, and they still speak to us, because we still are constantly tapping in to our subconscious and getting information from it and bringing it to light when we have these type of conversations, in any conversation. So just even you bringing up a family member means that that's how they talk. That's how ancestors speak. It's that simple. When it comes to, let's say, the deity aspect, when, we talked about template energies, that's why they'll say, well, Aquarius is, they could be meticulous, they could be analytical, they could be perfectionists. You find these commonalities within them, and that is how deity speaks. So they'll say, well, he was on his Taurus shit because he was being, bullish, and he was being stubborn, so he was moving like a Taurus deity, or it's your template. It's how a person's nature is,
right.
Or netter. What they say in Kemet, netter. Netter is another term for deity. They're talking about our nature, how we naturally are, how we came down here as a template energy, so that's the template aspect of self, so that's how that would speak, if that makes sense right there.
Yeah, it does. It states that if that's how we would know one another, by the nature of that individual. And you're right, they used the zodiac sign with a definition explaining that type. And so that would lessen a lot of friction, because I know what to expect when I'm dealing with this person from this type of nature.
Exactly.
So things wouldn't bother you as much, because you understand that they being themselves. So
right.
why go in and try to change that?
Right. And that speaks so much to just dealing with us, just people politicking.
Right.
Is that, when you're dealing with nature, like don't to the brothers out there, man, don't get all upset and get, want to go crazy and yell at your woman and everything. Just understand, the more that you understand about nature, the more that you'll be at ease, and you'll be able to handle situations in a more calm manner, no matter the magnitude of the situation. Nature, studying nature, understanding people's nature is important. It's just as important as studying the occult For the super genius ass niggas, you know, that think they super genius ass niggas, like this shit is they both have their equal level of importance. One cannot be denied. You need your left and your right brain.
Right. You trying to make the cat fly because you a bird. it ain't happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
And get mad, but that's when the ego kick in.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But you're right. When we can get to that level, man, that's peace, man. That brings peace because these are tools that you can use to bring peace. Because when you at peace, you observe more, you learn more, you listen more, you more in tune, and you more harmonizing with this universe, and you getting the see. If they say we gods having an earthly experience, then get all the experience you can get as a god and enjoy.
That's right.
Because come on, man. I mean, I done seen some days, man. It's just so beautiful. Skies, man, looking good. Even on some rainy days, it's just wow. All this positive, beautiful nature and landscape that was provided for us. You know, what's the sense of tearing it down or tearing each other down when you got so many eye-inspiring things to look at?
Right.
You know, it don't make sense. Now on this note, because I want to touch on this, but I don't want to do a whole show on it. And I don't know if you've seen the headlines, but I'm pretty sure you're aware to pick up one man and keep rolling, right? But let me tell you the story. It's a governor in Virginia named Ralph Northam. He at first they had two individuals in the picture. One was in blackface, and one was in the Ku Klux Klan, the full regalia, the hood and the robe and everything, right? And they asked him, was he one of the individuals in the photo? At first he stated, yeah, he was one of the individuals, but he wouldn't say which individual. So as they started telling him to step down and resign, he said, well, he wasn't one of those individuals, although he dressed up in blackface before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they said that they wanted him to step down, but they stated that they couldn't forcibly remove him unless he was suffering from a mental illness, right? So racism, you can say all the hateful things you want, but if you act on something that you have no knowledge of, then could that be considered a mental illness? Meaning, example, you can say you hate butterflies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you running down the street with a net or a knife trying to stab butterflies in the air, that would be considered a mental illness. People would say you were crazy.
Right.
You can say, I hate black people. But when you step into the action of actually trying to find the one to harm one based on the fact that you just hate, but you don't have any knowledge of that individual or anything, and you acted out on that hate, then you can say that person suffers some type of, they gotta be a psychosis.
Man, so if that's the case, man, I need to free the guys. Because I know, man, there's been a lot of, ass whoopings that got dealt out to bystanders. Wrong place, wrong time, ass niggas.
You know what I mean? You know, I'm saying, right. But because the reason why I'm saying that is because we let others set out the vocabulary and the terminology, and we follow their terminology. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Yeah.
You know, thinking that they gonna give the definition to benefit us when we gotta create our own term. Wait, now this mean this for us, for me. You know what I mean?
Right, but then etymology too.
Right, come on, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the root of the word. You're going to take the etymology, the root of the word, and you're going to just twist it to fit your, you know what I mean, your narrative.
Right.
And then try to justify your action on it. And it's like, come on, man, that's insane.
And they do it knowing that most Negroes is not going to pick up a book. And I'm saying this because I want to motivate you Negroes to pick up a book.
Right. Get a book.
Pick up a book, man, so you know that they playing games and they know the one of the big words, nigga, they know what nigga mean.
Right.
And they know it's heating up the planet, and they know it's a mantra for Kundalini energy.
Come on.
You know? They know that serpent in the book of Genesis is talking about the Naga energy.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Was it Nigeria?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the serpent, the word means serpent. It's the medical symbol with the staff, with the serpent wrapped around it. They know that's their symbol.
The serpent.
They got Shriners Hospital. They got a scimitar with a Moorish headdress on it.
Yeah.
And with the Kemet headdress, because the Moors is in Kemet. These people ain't stupid.
Nah.
It's on their buildings. It's in their masonry.
Right.
It's in the Catholicism. These people not stupid, man. Our people, we gotta get off of this thing of walking around looking at people as if they're stupid.
Right.
We gotta get off of that. You gotta stop looking at women as if they're stupid. I'm not saying that makes any of these people superior to us. I'm just saying that when you get the knowledge, when you get aware of human nature and of, etymology of words, don't just go off the definitions that, somebody who put themselves in competition with you is giving you, because it's not in their benefit business wise for them to actually give you the etymology of these words and the actual power that it contains, right, and the actual cause and effect that's going on. Just think about it. Why do you think that these people that put themselves in competition, so-called competition with you, would all of a sudden try to ban, like when Nas came out with the nigga album, and Brother Panic went in depth talking about this. They came out and they made him change the title of his album to Untitled, because they know, and also the long reach of somebody like Nas, for him to come out with that album and make that kind of statement, they knew that it was at a point in time where it would have such an impact. They were trying to quell that down, and this whole greenhouse effect and the planet heating up is because we love the word nigga, and while you have people that are trying to, do whatever they can to get us to stop using the word, those of us who know etymology and we understand intent and we understand definition. So the definition of the term nigga is words of vibration, and they are energy. So you can't just because the energy that's within the word is not going to change. The only thing that can change is your intent. Right. So a person could use any word and they can have ill intent for you, and an ass whooping could commence after the fact. Yeah. That's cause and effect. But then it doesn't change the actual template energy of the word. The word is always, anytime you use that word, it's always going to have a particular kind of effect on the subconscious mind. Every single time you use it, because the subconscious mind does not interpret the word nigga as European disrespecting you. It doesn't speak the language of logic. It only takes it as it's fire energy, it's a serpentine energy, it's a burst of energy that travels through your chakras. It only interprets it that particular way, and it's going to have a cause and effect strictly based on that. Now, the intent aspect of it, that, if you're talking to your partner, the intent, you deal with it accordingly. If it's somebody disrespecting you, you pimp accordingly in that particular situation. And that's how you deal with words and how you deal with life. Intent and definition.
That's why they call it spells. Spelling or spells.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, I hope those listening got a mind full, a spirit full, energy full in 2019. It's like it's in a sense of saying you can't pack the old into the new because it served its time. When you moving forward into the new, you can build from the old and see where it can be perfected at, and you do your calculations and whatnot, because you might find that old way of thinking can be a downfall because time outran it. It don't suffice in the time or the move that's being made in the present. It might have sufficed, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back around again in time. True, but still moving forward in time, or maybe what we're discussing might have been considered old at one time, but it's new today. Because we here today, living it now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And people are waking up. So, hey, there you go. Man, Brother Christnu, man, I appreciate you on the show, bro. Man, that was very enlightening. Hey, I got to get it out to the public.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, G. I appreciate you, Brother Black, man.
That's what's up, man. Hey, Verbal Pig Radio, we out.